What's happening, folks? It is more official than a ref of the whistle. You post with me, the G, on Rated PG. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at P Diddy Bopper, PDIDDYBOPPAH. And I'll be black, but that's all white with you. And unfortunately, we don't have my guest, my broski Capdroski. However, comma pause for effect, we do have our very, very special guest. I was trying to find something that rhymes with genius. What rhymes with genius? Cunnilingus.
Kind of, yeah. It's weird, but it's fine.
It's a little weird, yeah, it's very, but we're not going to use cunnilingus. But we do have my homie who's a genius, no secret. He's the secret genius, my man that's so hard he gonna ball till he fall, that Ace Boom Coon Kamal.
He got around the cunnilingus.
Cunnilingus, yeah. I just found out what that meant, though. That's crazy.
Oh, wow, that's unfortunate.
Nah, I did the cunnilingus, I just didn't know what it meant.
Alright, okay, alright.
The show's coming up today is February 7th. I have a show at Liberator Adventure Sex Gear, or something like that. It's a sex shop. Then the 10th, I will be at Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Smokes and Joe show. Then on the 15th, I'll be at the Laughing Skull Line.
I will be at the Laughing Skull on the 10th, which is Monday. Then we got MoreThanCULTR live show on the 29th. Then tomorrow we got Oxford Wars at Smith's Old Bar, Grand Open, Solaire, which is the art gallery / barbershop on Sunday the 8th from 5 to 7. So I'll be at all those places and some other places in between.
What is who does the Oxford Wars? I forget his name.
J Dukes.
J Dukes, yes. And you said More Than Culture, so what is More Than Culture?
More Than Culture, man, is it started off as just a podcast with me, Reemo Rod, and another young lady. It is now morphed into something that is kind of undefinable. It's kind of a collective of content creators, a comedy collective. We're really trying to figure out exactly what we are besides dope individuals doing dope shit. But no, we're a group of comedians that are like-minded and looking to create content on every scale, from social media, television, film, to podcasting, to all that shit.
Well, what got you started doing stand-up comedy?
Man, stand-up came from the podcast.
Oh, so you did the podcast first?
Yeah, did the podcast first. And Reemo, actually, before you even started doing the podcast, Reemo had talked to me probably a few months before and told me that he was going to start back doing stand-up and kind of asked me to kind of help him figure out his voice and formulate some material. And that kind of never really came into fruition because he kind of figured that out on his own. He kind of found that voice and kind of hit the road running. Then we were doing the podcast during all of that, and Tyler, Chronicles, and Ronnie Jordan ended up coming on after the young lady left. And then, you're around comedians that are top notch, and they're telling you, yo, man, you're funny as fuck, you should get on stage.
Yeah.
It's only, I'm not a bitch. So let me see if they're right. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I have what it takes to stand on stage and have people staring at me and make me laugh. It's going pretty good so far.
You should always believe people. Like I tell everybody this. Like I know some people who are really good at talking, but not really necessarily funny. And I'm like, you should go into business.
Right.
You should do. Like I know some of my homegirls who are socially awkward. Like they cannot carry a conversation, but they're real good with pen. Like they work hard, they can draw. Like, oh, you should be an artist. Like, I don't know, I think I should do it. I'm like, if everybody keeps telling you should do something, you should probably do it.
Right, or at least try it.
Right. Like,
because worst case, you could not be good, but you could be a fucking beast.
Right. All my life was like, you say you should do stand-up comedy. I never once actually took into consideration to do it until I did it. And I was like, wow, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, and I've been around comedy and on the comedy scene for probably a little over 10 years now. I was one of the founders of an improv group called Snapback. It was more so on the production and writing side. Never was on stage, like, ever. You I've never even thought about stepping on stage. So I've been around comedy for a long time. I don't want you to think it was just like an overnight thing. But I've been on the scene for a while and just kind of learning. I've always been a student of comedy. Like, I love documentaries about comics. Actually, in my phone, it's weird because this was a time that I hadn't even considered doing comedy. And I was watching a documentary on Robin Williams on Showtime.
I think I saw that one too.
And he was talking about when he met Steve Martin. And like at that time, everything he did was super high energy, super high paced. And Steve Martin taught him the concept of what he labeled the comedy of pause, and which is just having that time in between or slowing your shit down, and that pause in between punchlines or between your setup and your punchline is more important than anything else, and just giving people the opportunity to digest what you do. And I took that note in my phone, just the comedy of pause, and that was like 2017. And now here we are 3 years later, and like that shit is pretty definitive, especially to the way I do comedy. Right? Yeah. That is my style, is the comedy of pause. It's slow, it's slow and low. I'm gonna say what I got to say. You're gonna hear it. You might not get it at first, but once everybody else starts laughing, you'll figure out that, man, that shit was fucking funny.
Right. I had a huge problem with that. I still kind of do, you know, because I talk fast. And there are times I'm like, wow, that shit wasn't funny. And it wasn't that it wasn't funny, it's just that they didn't have time.
Right. That's what it should
register that. Yeah. But you said you've been around doing comedy, or at least around comedy for about 10 years. Do you feel like that has given you a quote unquote advantage as opposed to other people?
Absolutely, 100%. It's a cheat code to an extent, because not only have I been able to kind of play the back and you know, see comedians come and go, seeing styles fail, seeing people bomb,
That's me, baby.
with material and come back with that same material somewhere else and kill. So I've that experience on the backside, absolutely, it's giving me a boost because I kind of know what to expect, and then I've been testing out material on comedians the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
Like, that's a genuine reaction that you're gonna get.
Right. Like I can make a room full of comedians laugh, you know, 5-10 years ago easily. And these comedians now are some of the top comedians in the country. And it's definitely a difference between just conversational humor and being a comedian. And I'm rambling at this point, but also the relationships that I built during that time have kind of allowed me to be able to walk in anywhere and get some stage time.
Right.
Like I don't even though it's everywhere in Atlanta is probably, I haven't been anywhere else, but I would think has to have one of the best open mic comedy scenes in the country. There's 2-3 places to get up every night.
At least.
You know what I'm saying? There's always a place to work out and figure this shit out. But I have had relationships with the people that run these places for years before I started being on stage. So I think it's definitely open.
Like, and that's another thing. When you start off like the way, not even start off, but once you've been acclimated or at least aware of how things go, it makes at least the execution of doing it that much easier. Or it seems that way. Like I've been told, like I've only done stand up outside of Georgia and Tennessee and Florida. Okay. And you know, somebody was telling me, they was like, bro, you need to go to LA, you need to go to New York, blah blah blah. And I know people from LA and New York, they was like, no, y'all need to go to Atlanta. They was like, Atlanta's a completely different thing. You're gonna find out if you ask or if not when you in Atlanta.
Right.
And people tell me, if you do great in Atlanta, you gotta do great virtually anywhere else.
That's what I've been told as well.
Right. I was like, I don't know about that. They said, no, look at it. If you start playing basketball, the people you start playing ball with, who taught you with LeBron James, Steph Curry, and like, you know, KD, and you know, Kobe Bryant, all these people. And then the first time you play with somebody who's not them, you are balling out of control. Right. On these people, they don't know what's happening to them. Right. And it's just like your second nature to them.
Right.
But do you know your style of comedy? Do you do like I heard you say, you know, the art of pause and setup and judgment? punchlines and jokes, or do you more so tell stories, or is it a combination of both?
I think I'm more stories. I guess it's not. I'm not just a quick setup and punchline comic. I do bits, I guess, like 4 or 5 minute bits that have different setups and punchlines within them. But it's the whole bit is more so the joke than just the punchline.
Right. It's not like, hey, this happened, boom.
Right.
Then jump.
Because I want people to, right. It's never that. I want people to be, when they leave, and this is what's been happening, to be like, yo, that one about the what's the name was funny as hell. They might not remember exactly what I said, but they're going to remember the jokes.
Right.
They be like, yo, man, that shit, that days of the week shit, man, that shit had me dying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it won't. They might not remember an exact thing that I said.
It's just the feeling that they got from what you said.
Right. It's just the whole thing. Like a Kendrick project.
Right. Like
you don't want to dissect it bar for bar. You want to look at that whole song.
As a collective, like, sing about me. Boom. That's a 10-minute song. Have you ever been starstruck meeting somebody since you've been doing stand-up comedy? Like, it's almost embarrassed yourself?
Since I've been doing comedy, no.
Or
I haven't.
just in,
I haven't. I met Goody Mob in its entirety, all 4 members in the green room of Wildin' Out. And I think I was smoked with him and everything.
Heart pounding a little bit.
Yeah, that shit, I couldn't believe it. Like, I kept looking at Reemo like, yo, man.
This really happening right now.
Smoking with Goody Mob right now. You know what I'm saying? Niggas that we grew up admiring and loving. Now we fucking smoking with these niggas. I think that's probably the most starstruck I've been in the comedy atmosphere. But I haven't met any huge comics that have made me feel starstruck.
I was about to say that's dope. So you wouldn't even agree. I met Robert Downey Jr. and I'll turn into a whole fucking kid for like 5 seconds. He's like 5'7", and that threw me off.
Yeah, most people are little.
Like hella little. I was like, okay.
Most famous people are small as fuck.
That's what I was gonna ask you. What is something that you learned in your experience in entertainment or doing stand-up or a podcast that you wish somebody would have told you when you got started? Take your time, play.
Just really to not spend so much time thinking and planning to do shit, and just act and learn from the experience of failure, if that's what happens.
Oh yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say, and whatever you do it consistently, because consistency matters more than talent. Like if you're super talented and you come out and you show your talent once every 2 months, and there's somebody that's half as talented as you that is out every fucking day and putting that shit in their face, people are gonna be more familiar with that less talented person and more likely to gravitate towards them than somebody that they don't even fucking really know or care about.
Right, somebody who just kind of slick hyped up and just shows up every now and then.
Just be consistent. Like when we started MoreThanCULTR, we've been going for a little over 2 years now. We started with the goal of putting out 1 episode a week. And we've missed a couple of weeks here and there throughout the 2 years, but we've remained consistent. It started slow. We might have had 2, 3, 4 listeners per episode for months. And then slowly, the shit started growing. And now, every episode that we release is at least 400 or 500 listens on the first day.
That's what's up.
And there's still, growth to be done beyond that, but it's the consistency that got us there. Because people know that MoreThanCULTR episodes are gonna come out on Thursday. they know that they can count on that. And if it's now gotten to the point where, you know, we tell people the episodes are coming out at noon. If it's not out by 1 o'clock, people are in our DMs like, yo, what's up? Y'all not releasing an episode this week? And that's all just from consistency. You know what I'm saying? And building that audience and getting that audience to be kind of reliable or getting them to be relying on you to release and waiting and just anticipating that shit coming out every week.
And they're being responsive too.
Right.
So like those clicks, those likes, those shares, those comments, all that stuff matters. And it's like, I do admire that because somebody asked me, they was like, you know, how many views does your channel get? And honestly, I said, I don't know.
Right.
And he was like, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, I honestly have no idea, and whether 10,000 people watch it or 10 people watch it, I'm still going to keep recording
And putting
all the episodes out that I'm going to do.
Right.
And a good friend of mine, I don't know if you know him, his name's Chase Walker. He's a videographer, producer, director, whatever, but he told, I asked him when I first started, like what's more important, like quality of the videos, like camera equipment, or quantity, like just the difference in videos. And he was like quantity.
Right.
He said just fill your shit up with content.
Right.
If you get a page, fill it up, everything. So by the time somebody comes looking for something, you have a whole catalog of shit that they can look for.
Right.
Because you can have an HD Red Dragon camera and have shitty content on your page.
Right.
He said, so your shit just looks nice, but it ain't nothing on it.
Right. And that's another beauty of a podcast is that like it keeps your content relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever somebody searches for you on anything, like it's not gonna be something from 6-7 years ago that pops up.
Nah.
It's gonna be something from last week.
The most
you know what I'm
recent
saying? You're gonna hear my current perspective on shit, not something years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like it keeps you in the moment, it keeps you relevant, and it keeps man, like it's a whole nother side of this podcast and shit, because really they haven't, and they talk about this shit on Joe Budden's podcast all the time, but they haven't figured out, or at least shared with us as the creators, like how the monetization of podcasting is gonna go.
Right.
Like you're streaming an hour's worth of content that people are creating on a weekly basis. Like if that was a song, you know what I'm saying? If that was an album, it gets treated differently because of the type of content that it is. But it's still intellectual property that people are distributing on mass levels for free, unless you have some situation with the network or something like that, or some kind of subscription-based thing. But there, I would think that in the coming years that even if it's a demand that we as the creators have to make, that we have to shift how people view podcasts, because it's streamed content the same way, like the same way a movie, or
it is a movie.
You know what I'm saying? Like people are sitting and watching your content or listening to your content for an hour and a half every week. So why do we treat that differently than we treat other forms of media that are ingested the same way?
Jeff Foxworthy said something very similar. He was like, the craziest thing about being a comedian, he said, there are no classes for comedy. He's like, when you're in high school, you can take a music class, you can take art class, you can take public speaking class, you can take a mechanics class. He's like, there's no course, there's no books, there are no guidelines into being a comedian, or at least how to be a good comedian.
Right.
He said, so for example, he goes, I can put out 1 hour of my best shit right now, put it on TV, get this money, whatever, right? A month later, I will have to do that again. And I can't use any of those words that I used right there. He goes, if you're a musician, you can make 5 albums, 20 songs on each. They're still gonna want to hear those 3 songs that you made 10 years ago. No matter where you go, those comedy, you can't even use the same joke anymore.
To a degree, I mean, you can and you can't. But the great ones, like that have that longevity and have been in it for years, will go to a show and get requests for jokes. Like I've seen it happen to Ronnie Jordan 7-8 times.
Like the nigga with titties or something?
Do the fat nigga at the door. Do the honey bun joke. Do the Ruben Studdard joke. It's like
they request to hear that joke.
Yeah, at Uptown a couple of weeks ago, it was some people like, hey man, drunk as fuck, do that Ruben Studdard shit you did on Showtime. Like, so it's and he did it like a very condensed version of it just to kind of appease him. But so you get that as a comic if you've created the longevity for yourself and have
a good standing,
a good
record, good track record,
and then just have shit that is memorable and that people attach themselves to. Cause that fat nigga at the dog, like people come up to Ronnie all the time. It's like, man,
my mom knows that.
That's the funniest shit I ever heard, man. It's like, man, I remember seeing that shit in high school, and we talked about that shit for 2 weeks at school, type shit. Like, so it's there, but it's not the same as music where you can be a one-hit wonder and tour off of that one song for the rest of your life.
3-minute song.
Right. For the rest of your life, you're straight. You definitely cannot do that with one joke.
No.
Like you have to have 1,000 hours of material that are great, and people may request some of that. But if you only got 15 minutes, nobody gives a fuck. Music is different. If you put together 15 minutes of great music, you might be immortal.
Right. Like you got 15 minutes of just, would you mind?
Yeah. Right. People will never forget that shit.
You know, one time I go to one of my friends' house to talk to him. He said, I'm having problems with the woman that I love. It seems that I call on the phone and I just can't get. That's a
timeless, man.
You know, but yeah, comedy is not like that. Now there are a few jokes and stuff like that you hear, like I call it back the Chappelle Show.
Right.
All the time, like every episode of that was different than anything I've ever seen. Like there was Mad TV, there was like the Man Show, but there was nothing like the Chappelle Show.
Nothing. Even none of the clones they tried to bring after.
Now, what was hilarious to me, I didn't even realize it happened, but Dave Chappelle said that he was like, yeah, and after I quit, they tried to bring in Key and fucking Peele to replace me.
Yeah.
I was like,
it was the same show.
I never even put those
together. Before that, it was Carlos Mencia. Same show. That was Chappelle's show with the Mexican. It was the same show.
Wow.
It was like it's not gonna be black centered and about black issues. It's gonna be about Latino issues and Mexican people.
Wow.
It was Chappelle's show with a Mexican person.
And then they brought and then it was like Tosh Point Out. He was a white dude.
Right. It was like they tried it with everybody. They tried it with everybody, trying to recreate that.
But let me ask you this: what is your definition of a bomb? A lot of people have different theories or reasons why they call it that.
My
you can answer your like if you are bombing or if someone else is bombing.
Like it's just a failure to connect with anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a failure to connect with anybody because, like, I mean, especially in Atlanta, like a lot of the times you're fighting the room for attention. Like people are not there to see comedy.
Even though they're there for it.
They're just sometimes they're there for it. Sometimes they just happen into that particular place on that night, and there happens to be comedy there.
Yeah.
But you're always fighting against the venue in the sense that it seems like the comedy show is not the main feature.
Right.
Like they have TVs on sometimes, and people are just having drinks.
Right.
They're just out having casual conversation. The sound is shit. They can't hear what you're saying. So you're fighting against all of that shit to connect with people. Now some people think of a bomb as like nobody laughed, which is a bomb.
Yeah, which is a failure.
But I feel like I feel like that results from a failure to connect with anybody.
Yeah.
So if it's a room full of people laughing, and I learned this from Tyler. I mean, if it's not a room full of people that are distracted and into other shit, and the only people that you can really connect with are the people that are right in front of you, then you just get them. You get that front seven. Because laughter and that energy is contagious. And once you get them and they're having a good time, other people start to turn around and be like, oh shit.
Right.
He funny for real. Like, oh, let me fucking pay attention and see if he can make me laugh too. But if you can't connect with anybody, if you can't fight through whatever the fuck is going on to connect with anybody or pull anybody in, then that's you're bombing.
Yeah. I learned this too. This is my most recent bomb at Monticello's. I forget who it was they asked me. They said, I have a tendency of talking at people when I'm on stage and not talking to or with them.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I bombed because I was just talking, like not even acknowledging how anybody felt about what I said. I was just talking anyway. And the whole time people were just like, I was like, you know what, yeah, this ain't it.
Yeah.
You know, it's too late to connect with you now.
Right.
I'm like, there's a light. And that's pretty
Yeah.
I think it was Chris Jones that said, if at any point you had the crowd, or even if you didn't have them, and you lose them, and you know you lost them, and they can see it. He said, because there are times, like he said, you can be bombing and have no idea that you're bombing.
Right.
He said, then there are times like when you say like a couple jokes, and then they can see it in your face, like, oh shit, I'm bombing.
Yeah.
He said, if you lose them, you bomb. He said, even if you bring them back. He said, that's just me personally. I think that's a bomb. I feel that the same way.
Okay, I can feel. I mean, I can understand that.
And someone else is like, bro, you bomb when you give up. They said you can see it when you give up on yourself, when you give up on your set, when you give up on your jokes. People can hear it in your voice that you don't want to be here.
Yeah, because I think it comes a point, and like I'm not that seasoned, so you know, I want to say that I've had a pretty solid start, and I think I've only bombed 3 times out of the however many times I've been on stage, which is more than 3.
Right. So I'm pretty good right now.
So I don't claim to be the greatest, but I think I've had
the experience, the know-how.
Not even that. Like it's kind of luck, and it's kind of like I've never been in a room with a bad host, where the crowd wasn't kind of ready for comedy. I've never been thrown out and everybody's like, all right, what the fuck is like? All right, the last nigga wasn't shit. What the fuck you gonna do? I've been set up for success. And I'm not trying to limit my own involvement in motherfuckers laughing, because I think I'm funny as fuck.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't bomb. I bombed at You Got Time.
That's
twice.
That's a bombing room.
It is a
It's a bomb room. Like I don't usually say that, but that's a bomb room.
I bombed 3 bombs. 2 of them were there on the same shit. The second time I went back, I did that room 3 times. The first time I would consider it a bomb, and it was completely my fault. I was tired as fuck. I was a little high. I just wasn't really in it.
Right.
I wasn't really delivering the shit the way I should have. It was funny. It got a couple laughs, but I would say it was a bomb just because of my own performance, right?
Right.
So the second time I went, I did something completely different. It was amazing. The only reason I didn't win is because somebody brought their whole family with them.
Of course. That happens.
The third time I went, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try that other shit again, because I'm better now. This was like probably like a month and a half later. That first time was literally my second time on stage. So I was like, I've been working it out a little bit. I'm gonna try this shit. It was worse than the first time. It was terrible. It was terrible. I got clapped off. Like 2, 3, like not even 2, 3 minutes, but probably 90 seconds is like, get him out of here. Like, what the fuck is he, like what? What are you talking about, dude? You know what I'm saying? So the comics after came up and was like, yo, that's a good bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't throw it away. It's a good bit. I know it's a good bit, but it was like that room just wasn't.
Bro, that room.
They weren't there. They weren't there for it. I was like, man, get the fuck out of here.
It can make or break people. Oh God. I've lost that competition like 12 times. And I remember the first time I got booed off, I was killing them. I was up for like 9 minutes. I'm just like, they kept dimming the lights. I said, I'm gonna be up here all fucking night. And like, it was full of people too, and they was laughing. And then I was like, anybody hear your ass? Everybody was like, yeah! Like, everybody was screaming. I was like, that's that smell. Whole room got quiet. And I was like, oh, I'm the only nigga here who don't eat ass? And they were like, boo. Like, some chick was like, boo. I was like, hey, shut up. I was like, shut the fuck up. And then people like started clapping. I was like, nah, I don't eat booty. And I was like, my granddaddy was a crackhead. He said, don't eat something that's gonna get up and walk away. And then they were like, clapped me off. And Tyler.
I don't like that booty shaming.
Tyler came up there right after me. He was like, first of all, this is before I like really even knew Tyler. He was like, first of all, what was your name? Piere? I was like, yeah. He goes, they didn't boo you off because it was a bad joke.
I think I was there that night.
They booed you off because your lips look like you eat booty and you lying to these people. You look like a booty eater. Like, my wife was there too. She goes, man, is that your wife? He said, is that your wife? I was there. Tell him to grow up. You gotta grow up here. Just ask the crowd. And I was like, yeah, got booed off because I don't eat the booty. Okay.
That's funny as shit.
It's funny, you're gonna learn. Well, I feel like I'm telling you about it, but you already know this. There are gonna be some jokes that you're just gonna, I don't know, kind of shy away from.
Yeah, that one was one of them. Haven't came
but
back.
I feel in my heart it's still funny. Like,
oh, I know it's funny.
I know it is.
I know it's funny. I know it's funny because like I've had seasoned comedy shows where like, yo, that's some Jimmy Fallon shit. That's some late night. That's some late night shit.
That shit
is really well crafted. It's a really good fucking bit. But it's like everybody. I tried it again at Uptown. When me and Ronnie was there, but shit didn't go. Matter of fact, that was my first heckler.
Run it.
That was my first fucking heckler. Tried to joke. It's a joke about my weed man breaking up with me. Right? It's funny as shit. The weed man breaking up with me having to go to my side nigga and having to go to the other nigga that I met at the gas station. The shit is fucking funny.
You literally just go, and everyone's been there who's ever tried it.
It's fucking funny. So I'm doing it at Uptown, and I hadn't done it in a while. So I'm trying it out, and like the crowd in the back is like, I can't see them at all. And they're there to fuck people. And so they fucking like, I don't even remember what the fuck they were saying. But like every setup, they were stepping on. Every punchline, they were stepping on. And I'm just trying to stay in my shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
for the other people that are there, I'm trying to stay in my shit. But they fucked with me to the point where I was just like, I'm done. That was the third bomb. Was that I was like, I'm done. Reemo was hosting that show. I was like, Reemo, come get the mic. I'm through. But then Ronnie came up behind me and fucking like, because he had scouted out the whole table.